Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a scenario that sounds like something out of a thriller. Israel on the brink. Iron Dome collapses, fighter jets grounded, nation in shock. Let's explore what that would mean, what factors could lead to such a crisis, and how plausible it really is. Imagine waking up to sirens, knowing that your air defenses have failed or are severely compromised. That's the kind of fear and uncertainty that would grip any nation facing such a dire twist. The Iron Dome is Israel's famous short-range rocket defense, a system that has saved countless lives over many conflicts. It's known for shooting down rockets and missiles headed toward populated areas, acting as a shield. But could it ever collapse? What if its interceptor stockpiles were depleted, its command systems disrupted, or multiple simultaneous attacks overwhelmed it? In this scenario, the collapse of the Iron Dome would mean that rockets and missiles, whether launched by non-state actors in Gaza or Hezbollah, or by state adversaries like Iran, could penetrate into civilian areas unimpeded. That kind of breach would not just be a tactical disaster, it would be a psychological blow to national morale. People would see their homes no longer protected, hospitals could be hit, infrastructure damaged, and panic spread. Meanwhile, if the Air Force finds itself grounded, whether by technical failure, loss of pilots, or lack of spare parts, that doubles the vulnerability. Without fighter jets able to retaliate or defend airspace, the balance shifts. Air superiority, or at least deterrent capability, is central in modern conflict. If Israel's jets can't fly, it loses a major tool for both defense and offense. Let's break down how such a nightmare might unfold and what its consequences would look like. First, stock depletion. Missile defense systems rely on interceptors. Each launch uses a costly missile. If demand outpaces supply, stocks run low. Reports have already suggested Israel may be facing shortages in Arrow interceptors for ballistic missile defense. If that were extended to Iron Dome interceptors, the system's effectiveness would drop. Also, attack strategies could saturate the system, launch more missiles than can be intercepted simultaneously. Next, technical or cyber disruption. Modern defense systems are highly networked. If adversaries manage to jam radar, blind sensors, or take control of command nodes, the defenses could fail even without physical damage. Electronic warfare and cyber attacks might degrade or disable coordination between radar, tracking, and interceptor launchers. Another possibility, structural failures or sabotage, maintenance, supply chain disruptions, or insider sabotage could degrade the system over time. If spare parts or quality control collapse, failure becomes more likely. Then there is the overload factor. If multiple fronts open, say, attacks from north, south, and air/sea launched barrage, the defenses may simply be overwhelmed. No system is infinitely scalable. At some point, waves of threats will penetrate. So suppose the Iron Dome collapses under one or several of these pressures. The immediate outcome is massive civilian risk rockets hitting cities, critical infrastructure, power plants, hospitals. Civil society demands protection, and the government responds by mobilizing reserves, evacuations, and possibly martial law in worst cases. Now, consider fighter jets being grounded. That could result from pilot losses, maintenance shortages, component failures, or targeted strikes on airbases. Without jets, counterstrikes are limited, reconnaissance is impaired, and the deterrent capability crumbles. Airspace becomes vulnerable to drones, cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and drone swarms. The combined effect is national shock. Confidence in leadership erodes. Public fear, unrest, internal dissent. International pressure intensifies. Alliances are tested. That could push Israel to call for urgent foreign military assistance, rely more heavily on allied air defense systems, Patriot, THAAD, etc., or escalate to all-out retaliation. In terms of credibility, how realistic is such a collapse? While complete catastrophic failure is unlikely given Israel's investment and redundancy, reduced effectiveness is plausible. Experts note that no air defense is invincible, especially when adversaries use volume, decoys, electronic warfare, and novel missile types. Israel's system is formidable, but recent Iranian missile assaults reportedly tested its limits. Also, there have been instances where an Iron Dome rocket nearly locked onto an Israeli F-15 aircraft, misidentifying it as a threat. That kind of misclassification hints at complexities and vulnerabilities in target discrimination, which adversaries might exploit in a broader conflict. In a real video review or explanation, it's vital to stress that such a scenario is speculative but grounded in technical, logistical, and strategic risks. It's meant to provoke thought, not assume inevitability. The narrative of collapse grabs attention, but the deeper story lies in how defense systems are maintained, diversified, and adapted under pressure. In conclusion, Iron Dome collapses, fighter jets grounded, is a dramatic framing, but not impossible in extreme circumstances. The key takeaways: missile defense depends on stockpiles, systems coordination, redundancy, and adaptability. Adversaries don't need to break every link. They need to exploit seams, overload defenses, or degrade control systems. And when air power is compromised, the strategic balance shifts dramatically. That's the kind of analysis one would build into a video covering this dramatic title.